point again of Tierra del Fuego, considered the southernmost point, or of the Tierra del Fuego archipelago, I should say, not of the main island itself. It is considered the southernmost point of the South American mainland. Not by everybody though. There are other islands that stretch down to Antarctica, but typically that designation goes to Cape Horn. It's definitely the furthest north part of the Drake Passage there. And it's sort of considered to be the boundary between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. It's a huge route for shipping over the past 300 years. So it really plays a lot of cultural significance as well as just being a sort of cool place to be able to visit. Now, how many of you guys heard my presentation on Cape Horn last week, whenever it was? I just wanted to remind everybody at this point, I know we're getting close to the end of our voyage here, but just to remind everybody that traditionally, if you've rounded Cape Horn, you're allowed to give yourself a large gold earring in your left ear, and you're allowed to sit at the table with one foot up on the table. So when you get home, first thing you do, go get that earring and then just go sort of sit back with your foot up on the table. Just impress all your friends. They'll really think that's cool. Now this one I was trying to decide if I should include Angel Falls, and we already have Iguazu Falls, which is, in my opinion, Iguazu Falls is maybe more spectacular, definitely more spectacular to actually see, but Angel Falls is just really cool. So it's included as well. Now it's actually named after Jimmy Angel, who was an American aviator, he sort of made the falls known to the outside world. He was flying over the region and saw these falls. That wasn't until 1933. 1933, so it's a fairly remote area. It's still not the easiest place to get to. It's probably one of the main tourist attractions in Venezuela. Not easy to get there at all. You sort of got to fly in and then arrange for a boat, and then it's a little bit complicated, but it's very cool. In the local language, the name is Paracupa Vina, which actually means fall from the highest point. Now, obviously, they wouldn't have been aware of it at the time, but it is indeed the fall from the highest point. It's the world's longest waterfall, has a total height of 979 meters, about 3,200 feet is the total height. And the main plunge of the waterfall, instead of going down sort of steps, like a lot of waterfalls do, the main plunge of this is 807 meters, 2,648 feet of water is dropping down over the top of the Tepui Plain there. Now, the drop of this water is so far that most of the water that goes over the edge doesn't actually make it down to the bottom as water anymore, as it sort of enter the river at the bottom. It ends up sort of dissipating and becomes mist along the way down because it's such a far drop. So it's this extremely lush area. You'll definitely get very, very wet if you're standing anywhere nearby. But it is, and I think absolutely qualifies as one of the natural wonders of South America because it is such a substantial drop there. And the Andean mountain range. I know this takes up a large portion of the continent. It's hard to include an entire mountain range as a wonder, but it gives you a lot of different opportunities to see it as well, right? It's about 700 kilometers from north to south, about 4,300 miles north-south. It is the longest continental mountain range on the planet, sort of from north to south there. Now, it's only about 200 to 700 kilometers wide. I say only, that's still pretty big. That's about 120, 430 miles wide. The average height, about 4,000 meters, about 13,000 feet. Now, remember, 13,000 feet, it's only about 1,500 feet lower than the highest mountain in the lower 48. That's the average height of the Andes. So they are a very high mountain range, really second only to the Himalaya in Asia. Absolutely gorgeous with a huge range, again, of diversity among them, from the sort of dry deserts down in the south up to the tropical rainforests, or montane rainforest at that point. The glacier-covered peaks, absolutely fantastic. It also has the highest plateau after the Tibetan Plateau. The furthest point from the Earth's center is part of the mountain range. Furthest point from the Earth's center, right, is not Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on the planet, but because of the bulge of the Earth at the equator, Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador is actually further from the Earth's center. It's only about 6,384 meters, about 3,000. That's incorrect. Yeah, 6,384 meters, about 13,000 something feet. So it's nowhere near as tall as the Himalayas, but still further from Earth. And again, just home to a huge array of flora and fauna. It has a special place in my heart, living in Ecuador for a number of years. So it's absolutely stunning as well. And finally, I mean, the Amazon basin. Again, just a huge array of diversity. The Amazon basin covers about 7 million square kilometers, and the rainforest is about 5.5 million square kilometers of that. It includes 9 separate countries within South America. Roughly 40% of all of South America is considered to be part of the Amazon basin. Right, so a huge portion of the continent that's included here. Now, it is the world's longest river, the Amazon River, and it actually has a greater flow than the next 8 rivers combined.
Wow.
So a huge amount of water that flows through the Amazon River there. I mean, obviously that varies seasonally as well, but it has existed for about 55 million years. It's gone through a number of changes during that time, so during the various ice ages and as the Andean mountains are forming, you know, occasionally you get patches of savanna that come up in there. It's not heterogeneous, basically, the Amazon in general. So you have patches of different types of forest within the Amazon also. But it is one of the most species-rich biomes on the planet, possibly the most species-rich. It's estimated that 1 in every 10 known living species exists in the Amazon rainforest. 1 out of every 10 known species on the planet, 1 out of every 5 bird species on the planet exists in the Amazon rainforest. It's also the largest collection of living plants and animals in the world. So it really is a species-rich area, absolutely beautiful area if you haven't had a chance yet to visit. It's well worth seeing it. There's a number of different ways to see it as well. But, so I mean, that basically covers sort of my list of the natural wonders for South America. Some of my favorite places around that I like to go didn't quite make it onto the list there, but I had to cut it off at some point. And obviously there are lots of other places around the world that have these fantastic natural wonders. I mean, places like the Himalaya, places like the Serengeti Plains, the rainforest of northern.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? This is the Bridge Watch officer speaking with an important announcement for guest and crew. In a few moments' time, the fire alarm will be sounded throughout the ship. This is for crew exercise only and it requires no action by our guest. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your attention. Right, so as I was saying, the rainforest of Queensland, I lived in northern Queensland for about 3.5 years, so that also holds a special place in my heart. The Bamenda Highlands in Cameroon, and there's a huge array of different places. It really could go on and on. But so I just thought that this presentation, you know, as we're winding up this voyage, should get people thinking about the amazing places that we've had in our Okay, and on that note, but just to have an opportunity to think about some of the amazing places that you've seen, as well as some of the other amazing places that you might be interested in going. And as you see me around, if you have stories of cool places or places that you think should make the top top 7 or top 10 list, or just if you want to know where I think you should go, I'm more than happy to tell you. Thank you all very much. Have a good one. Okay, I'm Benjamin, travel guide, so we're part of the explorations team on board, and there is a lot of other exciting stuff.